Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today. So let's start off talking about Keith Lee. And when it comes to Keith Lee, obviously there's been a lot of speculation around his health. The reason behind his absence, of course, he was absent from WWE television for what? It was about 6 months, 7 months, something like that. It was since late February. It was right before Elimination Chamber, where he was scheduled to be involved in the United States Championship Triple Threat match. Arguably, he was actually meant to win that match. That's what the rumor is. But certainly, he was off of television for a long period of time. There was a lot of speculation, a lot of silence surrounding his WWE hiatus. And Keith Lee, on several occasions, has said that he wanted to inform everyone about the reason he was absent, and he wanted to do certain ways of telling everyone, explaining his absence, and certain things had prevented him from doing that. Thankfully, he's now back inside of a WWE ring. Thankfully, he's now competing once again, which is great to see. And he did explain that he wanted to explain to everyone why he was gone for such a long period of time, and he has finally taken to Twitter yesterday afternoon to finally break his silence on why he was away from a WWE ring for so long earlier this year. Now, Lee wrestled current United States champion Sheamus back on the January 11th edition of Monday Night Raw and defeated him. He was then away for a few weeks but returned on the February 8th edition of Raw to defeat Riddle. Now, Lee was scheduled to compete at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view on February 21st, as I mentioned, in a triple threat match for the United States Championship that he was expected to win, but he missed the show and was away until he made his return on the recent July 19 edition of Monday Night Raw, losing a non-championship match against the current WWE champion Bobby Lashley. Now, Keith Lee's status and health was up in the air for quite a while he was away. It was just, the only thing that we knew is that these reports came out just saying he was not medically cleared to compete, and he was actively trying to get cleared. Now, Lee confirmed in the YouTube video that he posted yesterday that doctors discovered heart issues after his battle with COVID-19 earlier this year. Lee also cleared up some speculation on his fiancée Mia Yim and her battle with coronavirus earlier this year too. Yim tested positive back in January, which forced her to miss the Royal Rumble event. Lee revealed that he did not get COVID from Yim, but she in fact tested positive after being around him. Now, Lee then went on to reveal that after his match with Riddle in February, he received a call informing him that something was not right with his blood work. It was then discovered that he had an inflammation of the heart, and there was some concern that he might even have heart disease. Lee said he fought death, but he was finally cleared after WWE sent him to Pittsburgh, where Dr. Joseph Maroon is based. Of course, he's the one that clears all of the talents to compete regarding various medical issues. Lee also said it wasn't even certain that he would be at the July 19 edition of Monday Night Raw in Dallas and on television, but he's now healthy and he's focused on moving forward. So I won't go into exactly what he said, but if you go and watch this video, it's quite. My reaction to it was not heartbreaking, but this guy's been through a lot, a significant amount. If you go and watch the whole video on his YouTube channel that he's created, I think specifically to post this video. I don't think he's going to be actively posting to YouTube or anything like that. I think this is just for the purposes of explaining his hiatus from WWE. He said that he contracted COVID, came back, wrestled that match, and they said, look, there's something wrong with your blood work. We don't know what's going on with your blood work, but you're going to have some more tests. They then find this inflammation of the heart, and they say to him, look, we've got to check this out. We've got to figure out what's wrong. There's concern that you might have heart disease. And they said to him, look, you can't do any exercise apart from a walk. That's it. You can't work out. You can't run. You can't do cardio. You can walk just to try and stay active. But apart from that, nothing. Because they're concerned, considering it was a heart issue, that if he was over strenuous or he overexerted himself or anything like that, he could just bang, drop dead. Something really bad could happen. So, I mean, it's terrifying when you think about that. How can you go through life in that kind of situation, right? How can you go through knowing that every single day that you wake up, man, if my heart rate gets up a little bit, or if I get a little bit stressed, or I have a little bit too much of anxiety, then something really bad could happen. And if you watch the video, he essentially says that whilst he was going through all of these tests, he talks about having MRI scans and struggling to fit into the machine, and certain tests not coming back very positive, and the first few tests coming back and still saying that you had this inflammation of the heart. Eventually, after a prolonged period of time, again, we're talking about sort of 6-7 months, after a prolonged period of time, the inflammation gradually went down on his heart and he was eventually cleared to return. So I think that explains quite a lot in terms of why, one, WWE didn't disclose any of this. And this is kind of my point with all of this. And this is the thing that's frustrated me the most when people talk about Keith Lee, is that sometimes pro wrestling fans, I get it. We are invested in the character and we want what's best for Keith Lee. Keith Lee, we want what's best for him. We want him to have success in WWE. We want him to be healthy. And some people want explanations as to why he was away from the company for all of this period of time. But you don't have a right to know. Some fans act like they're so entitled, like, I deserve to know Keith Lee's medical records, and I deserve to know Keith Lee's medical history, and I deserve to know exactly what was wrong with Keith Lee. No, we don't. We don't. I say this time and time and time again here on the channel, that if someone has a medical issue, that is their issue. It's their own private medical records. They can disclose it if they want to. They can share it with the public. They can say, this is what's going on with me. I hope to be back this day, or I hope to be back soon. But they don't have to. When it comes to illnesses or physical issues or anything, when it comes to someone's private medical issues, we don't have a right to know. We just don't. So demanding that WWE tells us what's wrong with Keith Lee, or demanding that Keith Lee explains himself as to why he was away, I was never on board with that at all. That's his decision. And it's not even WWE's decision to make. That's Keith Lee's decision. And he decided to go public with it, and it sounds incredibly traumatic. Because for 6 months, he was concerned that if he got too, stressed or exerted himself too much, he could die. How do you even process that kind of information? So, I mean, huge respect and sympathies goes out for Keith Lee. And when you look at it now, the fact that he's back inside of a ring doing something incredibly physical and incredibly, exerting himself and performing in front of all of these people, what a story that is. What a great story that is of you can't do more than a walk, otherwise you could die, to doing leapfrogs and shoulder tackles and moonsaults on Monday Night Raw. That's incredible. So huge credit to Keith Lee for that. I know there has been some people on social media criticizing Keith Lee prior to him releasing this video, saying that he looked out of shape and saying that he looked like he was blowing up and he was out of breath when he was having his matches against Bobby Lashley or against Karrion Kross, etc. Well, if you've been told for 7 months you can't do any exercise, you'd be pretty blown up. And from what he was explaining in that video, the distance between him getting cleared and him performing on Monday Night Raw wasn't that long. So you're going from 6 to 7 months of nothing apart from maybe a walk every single day to you're going to be wrestling the WWE champion on Raw. So I credit him for getting through the match and looking as good as he did. Now you can tell he's actively now trying to get into better shape, trying to get his win back, trying to just, again, start training again. But that's got to be very, very difficult. And I think this should serve as a reminder for a lot of people that when you don't know all the facts in these kind of situations, pro wrestling, it's story, it's drama, it's entertainment, and there are things you can speculate on and try and go into a hypothetical scenario and look at and say, maybe this is happening, maybe this is happening. When it comes down to someone's medical issues or medical records or illnesses or injuries, don't speculate on that. Because it's not right. It just isn't right to do that. How many times and how many issues have we had to go through, even in recent history, where people are speculating about stuff that they don't know anything about? And Keith Lee had no obligation to tell us yesterday, but he decided to because he wanted to, reassure his fans or just put these rumors to rest. I mean, people that were having a go at Mia Yim, saying, I can't believe you got Keith Lee sick and you did this and you did that. What is wrong with people? Seriously, what is wrong with people? It's crazy. So what a traumatic period for Keith Lee. And as I mentioned previously, huge credit to him for being able to come back. And I think also this should be pointed out as well. A lot of people criticize WWE for various reasons. You can criticize them for creative. You can criticize them for releasing all of these talents, firing all of these talents. That you can do that. And that's justified and that's your opinion. But you also have to praise them when they get things right and they do have the health and the well-being of a talent in the forefront of their minds. And let's face it, without the WWE wellness policy, they wouldn't have caught this. And who knows what could have happened? Because the fact that Keith Lee is back right now, his heart still had inflammation. And if he was wrestling on Monday Night Raw, who knows what could have happened? And credit to WWE for catching that. Credit for WWE for helping Keith Lee get through it. Credit to WWE for making him go for all of these tests and making sure that he was healthy, fit, and ready to wrestle. And something, even worse didn't happen. So you have to give WWE major credit for that, and the wellness policy, which I know a lot of people mock and a lot of people say that it's not fit for purpose and all of this kind of stuff. And WWE's medical side of things aren't great, or they're not very good at clearing people, or all of this kind of stuff. This is a big win for WWE's wellness policy because they caught something that could have been very, very, very serious, and Keith Lee is now back and now he's healthy. So it's a big win for WWE on that side of things, and you have to give him credit for that as well. And obviously huge credit for Keith Lee for coming back, and fingers crossed he can really push on now in his career. Like he said, he's faced off against death. Everything apart from that is easy. So massive respect for Keith Lee and the story that he spoke about yesterday. I want to talk about CM Punk. Of course, CM Punk's a hot topic of discussion right now with his impending AEW debut, looking to be from 7 days from now on the second episode of AEW Rampage, the first dance from the United Center in Chicago. And he's also doing a lot of media recently, talking about the season premiere of Heels on Stars, which premieres this Sunday. So he was recently on the Sunday Night's Main Event podcast to promote the season premiere of Heels. We spoke about this in yesterday's AEW news story, but he did touch on WWE whilst he was being interviewed on that show. Now, Punk noted that he does watch WWE. He did watch WWE whilst he was working as a Fox analyst for WWE Backstage last year, but nowadays he's not really watching it anymore because there's nothing that WWE is doing right now that draws him in these days. This is what Punk had to say, quote, "No, I had to watch it a little bit when I was an analyst for Fox, but I mean, how do I say this diplomatically? No, I think they've got some people who are super awesome and great in the ring, but nothing grabs me to get me to want to watch." Now, the host of the podcast, Jason Agnew, commented that he was surprised Punk wanted to answer that question diplomatically when he's not known for that. Punk said, quote, "I'm getting a little long in the tooth now, and I would much rather uplift and show love to the things that I like than tear anything down. You can't say what they're doing is wrong. They are the most profitable they've ever been since their inception. So who am I to say? You know what I mean? Like, it's ice cream. There's 31,000 flavors. Everybody gets their favorite. I just don't like vanilla." And I don't think he's wrong. I think that's actually a very apt comment by CM Punk there. And I think I don't think that's just diplomatic. To be honest with you, I think that's right. I think that makes a lot of sense. A lot of people can criticize WWE. I do sometimes here on the channel if I don't like the booking, or I don't like the creative, or I don't like this and I don't like that. I, as a fan, I'm able to share my opinion. That's what this channel is all about. Sharing opinions, creating a community where we can talk about our love of pro wrestling, the things we like, the things we don't like. That's what's so great about the comments section and the community that we've been able to grow on this channel. But you have to realize, and I say this when we talk about WWE and the competition with AEW, that Punk's right, that WWE right now is the most profitable they've ever been. And that's why it's maddening that they release all of these talents. But you look at the contracts they currently have, or they have these billion-dollar contracts with NBC Universal for Raw and USA, with Fox for SmackDown, with NBC Universal for Peacock, with the deal they have to make these Saudi shows, these pay-per-views like Crown Jewel and Super Showdown, etc., that they have. So they're more profitable than ever. They're making a lot of money. So you can't really question that what they're doing right now is wrong. You can look at television ratings and you can look at social media in terms of critical reception, shall we say. But it's like when a film's at the box office. When a film comes out, I think of it like Venom. When the first Venom film came out in 2018, it got slaughtered by the critics, didn't it? Absolutely slaughtered by the critics. And a lot of people that went to watch it went, I don't know if that's a very good film. Did very, very well at the box office. And WWE, that's all they care about. That's all they look at. If whatever they're doing is doing well at the box office, or their bottom line's good, they don't care. Now, it might not be for my taste. It might not be for your taste. It might not be for CM Punk's taste. And I think that's basically what he's saying, that from a WWE point of view, can you argue what they're doing is wrong? Not really. I mean, you can talk about ratings, and I think that's a valid argument, but they just look at the bottom line. And if the bottom line says they're doing well, that's about it, really. Now, let's talk about Zelina Vega. Now, Zelina Vega's husband, actually, not fiance, husband, Malachi Black's doing very well, of course, in AEW right now. But Zelina Vega recently returned to WWE over the summer after she departed the company last year due to clashing with the company over the company's third-party platform edict handed down by WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. Now, Vega recently spoke with Stephanie Chase of Digital Spy and said that she returned to WWE because she has unfinished business to deal with. Vega talked about having her eyes on the SmackDown Women's Championship, of course currently held by Bianca Belair. Sasha Banks will challenge Belair for the championship at SummerSlam later this month, but Vega says she's coming for the winner. She said, quote, "I think more than anything, WWE has always been a place that I felt like I kind of had unfinished business with. And for me as a kid, you look at and you're like, I want to be a champion. There are so many things that you want to accomplish and coming back. I set my eyes on the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's what I'm most focused on and seeing where it takes me. After Bianca versus Sasha, who knows? Will it be Bianca that remains the champion or will it be Sasha? Either one, I'm coming after them and I can't wait for that opportunity." Now, Vega, of course, has kept a dedicated fan base, but despite her popularity with fans, she said she's more comfortable of playing the role as a bad guy. She said, "I think just because since I was a kid, I was a little instigator, it's easy to me being a heel and just being a fiery New Yorker. It's just who I am. It's super easy for me to be comfortable in that role." So, obviously, I think she has to toe the company line there. I think that's probably fair to say. Malachi Black has kind of said a few different things in recent interviews and Twitch streams he has done recently. He shared the story of when he was released by WWE, Zelina Vega started crying. I mean, openly weeping, whilst Malachi Black was laughing. And the reason she was crying is because a major factor or influence for her to go back to WWE in the first place was that Malachi Black was going to be on SmackDown. That's where Vega was going to be. They were going to be returning to the road to touring, and Vega and Black were going to be touring together. That was a big factor in it. Then what happens? Zelina Vega signs, she comes back, and then Aleister Black gets released, and now he's in AEW, and they're definitely not touring together, which is, of course, very frustrating for them both. So that's one side of things. The other side of things as well you have to look at is Zelina Vega, since she's come back, she hasn't won a match. I don't think she's won a match since, September last year? Now, there's lots of different ways to look into that one. I think a way that a lot of people are looking back into it of, you left and we've taken you back, but we're going to humble you a little bit and we're going to make sure that you get punished for what you did last time, even though that was so terrible, trying to make extra money during a pandemic. But I think that might be a part of it. I think another part of it is just WWE. That's just their booking philosophy. Because sometimes, I mean, this might be a positive for Vega, that I've seen this time and time again, we all have, as WWE fans over the year. If someone will lose for months, for absolute months, then they'll win a championship and like nothing happened. So just because she's lost all of these matches, it doesn't mean she won't win a title at some point. So honestly, I would not rule that out. But that's the thing with Zelina Vega right now. I think that had things played out a bit differently, and had she not re-signed with WWE immediately, and then Aleister Black was released, she might be in AEW right now. But she's not. She signed a contract with WWE, she's on SmackDown, and that's where she's going to be for the foreseeable future. Now, let's switch gears and talk about NXT. Ember Moon, of course, was pulled from NXT this week and is reportedly out of action with an issue that's reportedly not too serious, which is good to hear. Now, Moon, of course, was set to face Saray in Tuesday's NXT opener, but it was announced earlier that afternoon that Moon was unable to compete. Now, WWE has not provided any details as of their announcement and just stated that she was unable to compete because she wasn't cleared by the NXT medical staff. Now, in an update, word from NXT says the issue that kept Moon out of the ring on Tuesday night was described as not serious, according to PW Insider, but once again, no other details were provided. And in the same vein that we started off this video talking about Keith Lee, when we talk about Ember Moon here, if they give us any details, we'll talk about it. If not, there's no point speculating because that's not a right thing to do. I want to talk about Ric Flair briefly because I've seen this discussion and I think it's kind of hilarious, to be honest with you. Since Ric Flair was released by WWE, last week, a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, I think it was Booker T mentioned that he could see Ric Flair trying to make an in-ring return. Ric Flair wanting to make an in-ring return is ludicrous. Even the fact that he is 72 years old, and he's 72 years old, and that is a recent gym picture of him. In great shape. I wish I had those guns now, let alone at 72 years of age. But Ric Flair ain't coming back. Ric Flair is not making an in-ring return. Even if he was the healthiest 72-year-old man out there in the world today, he would not be wrestling, because wrestling at 72 is crazy. Absolutely crazy. On top of that, Ric Flair has had numerous health issues over the course of the last few years. When was it? 2017? He nearly died. He was in a coma for weeks. When he came out of the coma, he didn't have any memory. He had to get that back. Subsequently, he's had several surgeries as well. He's not coming back. Flair continues to stoke these flames on social media. He posted a clip on Twitter saying it was a clip from that segment on Raw in 2007 in the build-up to his, ironically, his retirement match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24, where he said that he'll never retire. Flair captioned the clip with, "I'll never retire." He's posted these gym selfies. I think he's just stoking the flames. Ric Flair is not coming back to wrestle. He couldn't get cleared by WWE to even take bumps. Last year when he got kicked in the head by Randy Orton, that was when the lights came out and they had to sort of, do a bit of gaga, as they would say, to get around it. Ric Flair is not coming back. He's not going to wrestle. I mean, even Sting in his 60s wrestling is still crazy to me. And he's wrestling on Dynamite next week, which is nuts as well. But no, it's not happening. Ric Flair is not coming back. If he does and he wrestles a match, feel free to clip it, and I will gladly eat a bit of humble pie. I'll eat a bit of actual pie here on the channel. But it's not happening. It's not happening. Ric Flair is not going to come back and make an in-ring return. I would be flabbergasted, absolutely flabbergasted, if that indeed happened. Finally, some exciting news for NXT stars Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, because they have announced they are expecting their first child. Gargano took to Twitter yesterday morning and made the announcement, sharing an ultrasound photo. He noted that Candice is due to give birth in February of 2022. The tweet said, quote, "The secret's out. Our team is getting a little bigger. The best is on the way." Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano were married on September 16, 2016. Congratulations to both of them. What an awesome bit of news. The way is getting even bigger. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all these WWE news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Got the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or having come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.